five friends had not planned to explore that night. It was a detour, a dare whispered between them after too much talk about places that no longer drew attention. They had walked the old path through the trees, tracing where the tracks once ran, their flashlights catching on roots that had grown across what used to be steel. The entrance stood before them like a mouth that had forgotten how to close. The stone arch was damp, blackened by decades of weather, yet there was something unnervingly preserved about it. The flood had erased the railway, but not this tunnel. They joked at first. The air was cool, carrying that hollow echo you only find in structures built to last longer than the people who enter them. Every step was followed by the sound of more than just their own movement. It was as if the tunnel did not return their voices or their laughter. It absorbed them and gave back something slower, heavier, trailing just behind. And then there was the rain. It was dry that night. The trees outside were still, but once they crossed the arch, they all heard it. A steady, delicate patter, as though hundreds of droplets were falling all around them. Yet when they shone their lights on the ground, the earth was dry, the stones were dry, even their own shoulders were untouched. The sound came from everywhere, and nowhere. They pressed on. 100 feet. 200. The walls narrowed slightly, bricks bulging where roots had forced their way in. In some places the structure seemed close to collapse, yet it held with unnatural strength. They wanted to reach the midpoint, where old stories claimed a service alcove still existed. A small carved room where workers once stored their tools. That was their goal. Step inside, carve their initials into the wall, and leave. But they never made it that far, because about 300 feet in, the tunnel changed. The floor under their shoes was no longer gravel and dirt. It was smooth, polished, almost like poured stone. The sound of rain intensified, yet still nothing touched them. And when they raised their lights, the brickwork had vanished. On either side of them, where there should have been walls, there were openings. Doorways, perfectly cut, evenly spaced, stretching away into blackness. The tunnel was no longer a tunnel. It had become a corridor. None of them spoke at first. The silence between them was heavier than their fear of breaking it. When one of them finally whispered, the voice did not carry. It was swallowed whole, leaving only the unending rhythm of water falling where water did not exist. One of the friends, Daniel, claimed he saw movement in one of the doorways. Not a figure, not a shape, only the faintest suggestion of light withdrawing deeper into the dark. The others laughed it off, because laughter was safer than admitting what they all felt. But the change unsettled them. The plan to reach the service alcove was abandoned. They turned to leave. That was when they realized the arch was gone. Behind them was not the tunnel entrance they had entered, but more corridor, more doors, more black openings leading to spaces no one had ever built. The friends had not spoken of it again until years later, when they were interviewed separately. Each one described the same memory, the impossible stretch of corridor, the rainfall that could be heard but never felt, and the door that seemed to draw them toward it. Only one of them admitted to stepping closer. Only one described the hand that reached from the dark. Perfect. I'll carry it forward in that same *** documentary style narration ***, keeping it long, steady, and heavy with suspense. I'll avoid the words you flagged, and I'll let the dread grow from the details themselves. What unsettled them most was not that the voice knew their names, but that it knew the order. Not just who they were, but exactly how they were arranged in the tunnel. No one moved. The beam of light swayed again, pausing as if to study them, and for the first time they realized there was no sound of footsteps. No wheels, no machinery, only that faint vibration under their feet, pulsing like a heart through the stone. The one at the front, David, tried to steady his breathing. He later said he forced himself to believe it was a prank, a forgotten speaker system wired into the walls. But the others noticed something he did not. The tunnel was damp, dripping in places. Yet the intercom that carried the voice had no distortion, no static. It was clear, precise, and much too close. At 9:19 p.m., the light blinked once. The names were repeated. This time, the syllables dragged as if the speaker were testing the weight of each word, rolling it across their tongue. The group argued in whispers, though each of them later admitted that whispering felt useless. The tunnel had no corners, no shelter. Every sound they made fell into the dark and did not return. At 9:22 p.m., something changed. The beam of light that had seemed so distant shifted. It was no longer in front of them. It was beside them. They swung their flashlights toward the stone walls and found them gone. Where rough brick had been seconds before, there was now a smooth opening. A doorway that none of them had seen until the light revealed it. And inside that doorway, a figure stood. Still, waiting. None of the friends could describe the face. Each interview transcript recorded hesitation, silence, and finally the same explanation. It wasn't hidden. It just wasn't there to see. At 9:25, the figure raised a hand. Not in greeting, not in threat. Just a slow, deliberate lift, palm outward. A gesture of recognition. That was enough. Panic broke the silence. They turned back the way they had come, flashlights darting across the stones, their footsteps scattering loose gravel. The tunnel stretched longer than before. No arch, no trace of the entrance. Only corridor after corridor, each side branching into more openings. One of them screamed, not from pain, but from realization. The intercom was still speaking, only now it was reciting the names again, in reverse order. At 9:32 p.m., their recordings ended. The audio recovered from one of their phones captured the last 30 seconds. Breathing, rapid footsteps, and then silence. Not a fade, not the shuffle of equipment failing. Just the cut of sound, absolute, as if everything, the tunnel, the group, the device, had been erased mid-step. Days later, when search teams arrived, the tunnel was measured at less than half a mile in length. Every wall was solid. No corridors, no doors, no trace of any intercom system. And yet the rescuers reported something they were not meant to share. Each one, without exception, admitted to hearing the faintest sound as they reached the midpoint. A sound like rain falling where no rain could touch. What could this be? Who opened the well?